Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 25th, 2023 Town Board Work Session. If we could all rise for the pledge to the flag. Dan, would you lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could all just remain standing for a moment of silence for all of our first responders, our police, our fire, our ambulance, our EMTs that are out there keeping us safe and keeping us well every day, and also for our troops, whether home or overseas, that keep our freedoms free on a daily basis. Thank you. Amen. Okay. How's everybody doing? All right. I'm going to get you a bumper over there so you can keep running into me. We got the speed bump here on the floor. Okay. Hey, I got an update on garbage, folks. Anybody want to hear about garbage?
Nah.
Nobody wants to hear about garbage? You want to hear about garbage?
Yes.
All right, I got an update on garbage. Huh? No, well, that's an understatement. Okay, just to let everybody know, we are on it. We're looking for solution, not to politicize the problems. There is now a transfer of ownership in this company. There's an offer on social media which says it's a no-brainer that we should go with whatever they are saying. Totally disagree. Not only that, but it's illegal. It's a 7.5-year no-bid contract. I don't want to do the perp walk out of the town PD. I don't know if anybody on this board wants to. Do you?
No, thanks.
I don't.
I think I'm good.
No, you're good? You do, Dave?
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
Absolutely not.
All right. So guess what? Today, they're all on schedule. With all our hard work on this board, and the new management, and having negotiated amendments to and include redundancy on their equipment, so that if they have a breakdown, they can go to another truck. They can get the job done. They're going to put on another split body packer. They put one on today, or yesterday, I guess it was, and they're going to bring in 2 more rear loaders. So, that being said, we are on this. We're working with our attorney and the attorneys for all the above. But what folks have to remember here is that we have a procedure that we have to follow to make sure we do things properly, and so that we're not overcharged, we're not overtaxed, we're not oversued, because quite frankly, the other garbage company is suing the town. We have been in contact, our attorney's been in contact with AAA's attorney. They've been in touch with Competitive's attorneys, and we're working through an ends to the mean. So for people to put anywhere down that we're not doing our job is just nonsense. Okay? There's things we have to do to get to the end to the mean. I'm going to pick on Adam here for a minute, and he's going to give you a high level on what's going on. Give him hell, Adam.
Sure. Thanks, Supervisor. So just a couple things quickly, as you alluded to. There is a transition of management that's underway, and we do anticipate that will be completed over the next several days. That's certainly the hope, and we do think that that's achievable. We do have reports that by the end of today, the collections will be back on schedule, and then tomorrow's an off day, so the hope is that to the extent there are any outstanding collections, they can be cleaned up, but the really hope is that today everything's back on schedule, and then Thursday everything should be back to normal. We were able to negotiate, through the town's significant efforts, an agreement for contractual obligations for redundancy plans so that we can do everything we can to ensure that this situation doesn't arise in the future. And as the supervisor said, that's through the acquisition, which would be mandated of another, split body truck to ensure the recycling is collected properly, and 2 additional trucks to, again, ensure that to the extent there are issues with the trucks that they currently have, there are redundancies there in place so that the town and its residents are getting the services that it deserves and it demands. All that being said, the notice of termination, the notice of default, I should say, still stands. If it turns out that they can't live up to their obligations, the town would be well within its rights to terminate the contract, and it is pursuing alternative options to ensure that the services are met to the extent that that is necessitated. This offer that's sort of out there in the ether of social media and the internet, as the supervisor said, although it's characterized as I think a no-brainer, the only thing that's no-brainer about it is that it can't be accepted. It would be a complete and utter circumvention of the public bidding laws, and to award someone a 7.5-year, effectively a no-bid contract for $35+ million would not be in the town's best interest and not be permissible. So, to the extent you heard about it, it's not something the town's able to do. If other reasonable offers are made, I assume the town will consider them in the normal course, but there are no other offers on the table at this point. So,
Yeah,
That's
and we,
that.
go ahead, Adam, I'm sorry.
no, that's it. I mean, anything else I can elaborate on, I'm happy to do so, but,
We do have an emergency provision in that where if we have to, we can go out on an emergency basis and put on another contractor to get the job done if they cannot, or if they cannot perform. Jenna, did we have any calls today on garbage? 2. Down from 22? Okay.
More than that.
Tommy, can I just say something really quick?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, everybody. How are you? So it has come to my attention, and I think the board's attention this week, that there's a survey out on the internet called Yorktown Trash Issues. And apparently first off, it is not a town board, Town of Yorktown sanctioned survey. So we have not, apparently they're asking for your email, your name, your address, and whatever garbage complaint you have. Whoever is doing this, we are not getting any of those complaints. So I really implore all of you, if you have a garbage complaint, please call the supervisor's office or Refuse and Recycling. Please be careful when you're filling out surveys. We don't know if that's an email gathering ploy, if it's a scam, but it's certainly not sanctioned by the town of Yorktown. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Also, we have, today is National Hire a Veteran Day. Just for everybody's information, there's approximately 200,000 military people that leave the service every year. So if you're a business person and you can employ, if you're looking for employees, reach out to the vets. Maybe stop off at the VFW or the American Legion. Maybe there's vets there that are looking to go to work. As a matter of fact, we had at one point started to send and had given them the idea to send the postings that the town has to the VFW and to the Legion, so that if there was any interested parties from either of those 2 organizations right here in town, that they could apply for a town-offered job. All right. That's all I have for today. We're going to go to our highway superintendent, Dave Pagnelli. Oh, sorry, Dave, real
I
quick.
knew you were going to do that.
Okay, did I catch you off guard?
No.
All right, I have a resolution that has to be read first. I'm going to bounce around just for this one. We're hiring a new police officer. His name is, this is an appointment for Madison E. Cora as police officer in the town of Yorktown, effective July 26, 2023. Be it resolved that Madison E. Cora of Yorktown Heights, New York, is hereby appointed contingent permanent police officer in the Yorktown Police Department from eligibility list 60-194, effective July 26th, 2023, to be paid an annual contractual salary of $61,202 annually. Resolved that this appointment is subject probationary period of not less than 12, nor more than 78 weeks, commencing the first date of appointment on July 26, 2023. The reason I'm going a little bit out of line here is because Mr. Cora has to go to New York City right now and resign. And he's got to turn in all his gear so he can be back up here tomorrow to be sworn in. So we'll go from there. Dave, you're on.
Okay.
Yeah, could I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now I'm not ready.
You're not ready now?
No, I'm
Oh,
ready.
let's move on then.
I also, my initial point in coming here was a bid. I have the resolution here. I'll pass this over to you. Mary, would you pass this over? This is a bid for street signs and traffic signs. The reason I'm including you in this discussion is one company withdrew their bid because they were in Ohio, couldn't get us the signs in 5 days. The other company, Garden State, which is now national, had bid it 2 years ago when we went out, and they couldn't meet the 5-day threshold at that point. But what they can do, and they're substantially cheaper, is they can meet the 5-day threshold on in-stock items. For instance, stop signs, no parking signs, yield signs, chevrons, anything that's a standard item. So that's the reason I'm discussing it. So it's really kind of a no-brainer. You know, we'll pay a little more for the custom stuff, and clearly the value of that was shown 2 Fridays ago. The next day I was going on vacation. That was the 14th, I'm sorry. I was going on vacation. 12 o'clock, I needed to get a sign made that said, for the culvert closure, no through traffic, local deliveries only. I called this company that we are giving the street signs to because he could deliver within a day. Called him at noon, 1 o'clock. He told me the signs were done. They were up at Bryant Pond Road. I went and picked them up, had them up before the weekend. So all those Amazon deliveries and different things that were road closed, can't go in there. The garbage company, I'd been dealing with them to make sure they can get in and take care of the residents that are in that closed area. So that's that. That's out of the way. 3 other things actually we have to talk about. The culvert, okay, on Old Crampon Road. That road is closed until that culvert is replaced. There's an 8-inch high-pressure gas main under that. I've got Connoissant out there every 3 days monitoring it for leaks. It's a major, major, major public safety issue. So, Dan, I'll invite our town engineer, Dan Ciarcia, up to the podium. I'll give you the quick gist of it. In 2017, when we were preparing to submit culverts and bridges for the state reimbursement, correct, when we ended up doing Veterans Road and Hill Boulevard, we had recognized for years that this was a problem, and the gas main made it more of a problem. So we had, you could tell them how we went about doing this, contracting cells to sort of give us a...
Sure. Yeah, so back in 17, we had WSP Cells do an analysis of that particular culvert. And just for nomenclature, because everybody gets confused by this, a bridge is more than 20 feet. Less than 20 feet, it's a culvert. Bridges do get inspected by the New York State DOT routinely. They have numbers assigned to them. This one does not. It's not under that program because it's an 18-foot span. So they actually did a fairly detailed analysis. They identified some of the problems, which since 2017 have only gotten worse. They also did, which isn't in your package, but they did a detailed hydraulic analysis too. They did talk about raising the road, which kind of I don't think is a great idea, because what's going to happen is you're going to create more flooding on the upstream side of the bridge. Right now, essentially, the road acts as a spillway once the capacity of the culvert is exceeded, it just goes over the road. So if we put any more impediments, like a higher road, potentially that's going to, flood out other properties. But that's a detailed analysis of a full design that we could get into. So the long and short of the 2017 thing is they were suggesting that certain repairs be done to the bridge. But given the wear and tear on it, it seems the appropriate thing to do at this point is looking at doing a full-blown replacement. As Dave mentioned, there is a high-pressure gas main that's hanging on the bottom of this thing. We really ought to get Con Ed sooner than later to go under the stream and get that utility off the bridge, because not only does it impede our ability to replace the bridge, but it also hangs low enough that it actually creates a bit of a further restriction to the flow through it. So it just seems like sooner than later we ought to get the wheels turning for Con Ed to relocate that line. At this point, if the board wants to move forward with this, then we basically have to get a consultant online to get going with the permitting, because it is a classified stream. We'll be working in the stream, put together a design and bid documents so we can replace it.
Is it possible to, when we're looking at a design, to increase the flow in any way, to design it in such a way where, the flow underneath is larger or improved?
They did do a hydraulic analysis, kind of coming, and I think they were good ways up, like along the Bear Mountain Parkway, I think down to Mill Pond. And I believe the conclusion was that the hydraulics there are kind of constrained by the channel itself. The brook, say from Old Crom Pond to Mill Pond, the channel itself is choking the flow. So even, there's a point of diminishing returns where even if you make the bridge bigger, you're still going to be constrained by the downstream cross-section of the stream.
And that's why it's spilling over onto the road.
So there's no trudging
stream?
the stream to make the stream wider?
Well, that's always the catch. It's a DEC regulated stream, so
Right.
to go in there and start drenching it is.
No, but I'm saying if the stream is
And it's all on private property.
if the stream is constricting the flow, right, then but it's spilling over onto the road above the culvert. Am I to understand that it's going over?
I mean,
the
right
bridge?
now, I mean, that's what caused the damage. It
Right,
went-
and
it
that's
went
what
over-
that's
went
how I
over
understand
top.
it. I just want to make it so this way.
That's on the
everybody's
100-year
clear.
flood that is coming every 3 years now, right? Dan?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's about right, right?
But-
So
but-
if
so you
the-
can-
if
you
the-
can
hold on a
get-
second,
you-
if the water is going over the bridge, that means the hole under the bridge isn't big enough. I mean, wouldn't that be an accurate kind of statement?
Right, but at some point, if you make it 5 times as wide, ultimately the downstream channel is going to
Chokes,
constrict
holding
the
it back.
flow. So I
gonna
mean,
spill over anyway,
they
'cause
did
it's
some
gonna-
analyses on it. I don't want to say one way or the other, but I just want to make it clear that making it bigger doesn't necessarily
May not necessarily,
right,
I
because of
understood.
and it's very similar. Case in point, what we went through with Shrub Oak Brook. Now, in this case, FEMA didn't do a detailed model of that stream. Shrub Oak Brook they did, and it's a cumulative effect of the culverts, the dams, the channel geometry. It all adds up to constraining the flow. So we can make the bridge bigger. I think that's one part of the design that should be considered.
Okay.
The other part is you're going to get more area to flow through if you raise the bridge. But now if you raise the road and the bridge, are you going to create a situation where it's backing up and flooding properties on the north side of Old Crom Pond Road that presently don't flood?
Because you're sending more water downstream, and it
Well,
might get blocked down
changing
there
the
somewhere
direction.
Well, you basically, the road becomes a dam. I mean, it basically is right now, that the dam is the road, and when the capacity of the culvert's exceeded, the road becomes the spillway. The water goes right over, So what you'd be doing is increasing the height of the spillway. So in doing so.
Flooding out the neighbors.
Yeah, so I mean, we, you know.
They were all flooded out anyway.
I mean, it's part of the
you know.
analysis that you need to do.
We don't wanna do that, yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was,
I mean,
everybody on that road was flooded out.
Yeah, I mean,
All
we
right,
don't, we
but
don't
you're
want,
gonna make sure they look at
we don't wanna,
possibly
we don't
making
wanna
it
flood,
larger.
we don't wanna flood out the new McDonald's.
Absolutely not. But you're gonna look at that,
Yorktown needs its fast food.
but you're gonna look at that, you're gonna look at that and as a consideration, one of the considerations.
Yeah,
That's
well,
all I'm
that's,
asking.
yeah, that's
Okay.
what our consultants
Sergio,
would
it's
do.
like trying to take a piece of linguine, okay, and putting it through an angel hair.
Bucatelli, trying
And-
to stick it through a Bucatelli.
Yeah, that's it. And you can't do that.
What is the timeline you think with Con Edison to get there? And
No,
see?
that won't happen. All right, Con Edison, I've been in touch with them. They're monitoring that every 3 days. They're not going to move that line until we put the new culvert in. They have no
Well-
interest in doing that.
Until
Well, I
the
mean, I
culvert
thi-
is already complete, or
Correct. Their intent at this point, and I could reapproach them, their intent at this point is to restrap the 8-inch. The problem, there was a chance that we could have, I like the word, I'll use it, bifurcated this, because if it was a two-way flow, they could have shut it down on either end of the culvert and the residents would have still had gas. Unfortunately, it's a single flow going in one direction, so that can't be. If they cap it, then all those people down
Won't
from
have it.
won't have gas.
yeah.
You know, so what we're looking for now, correct me if I'm wrong, is we need to get the show on the road. So that being said, school is only 2 months away. The buses will be a nightmare. So what we're looking for, I believe, is permission and funding to go out and hire an engineering firm or go out to bid for an engineering firm, correct? That-
RFP, yeah.
Right, an RFP that would get us started, because we all know that engineering takes a bit of time, and Dan and I were hoping that this particular thing that we'd done in 2017 would help expedite it, but it doesn't really get into the meets and bounds, so to speak. It's just more about the
No,
condition
but
of the
but
culvert,
but
right?
a lot of, you know, the preliminary work has been done
Right.
here. You know, like, for example, answering the question of the hydraulics, how big should it be?
Right.
So, I mean,
And then we have three different entities that are in play. DEC, DOT owns part of that stream, and Con Edison. So try herding those cats.
well, no matter how you deal with it, Con Ed has to jockey their mane somehow. We cannot replace the bridge and just leave
Right.
it dangling there. So the correct way to deal with it, and, you know, they're in our right of way, so I think we've got some juice in terms of telling them they gotta relocate it. Because it should
Then we
go
should
under,
we should come up with a suggestion. We're gonna have them located into the stream bed,
yeah, go under the street.
you know?
Yeah.
With the gas pipe?
Yeah, rather than have it strapped to a culvert.
Because they can't ignore it, because we can't replace the bridge without somehow working with that pipe, and the best way to do it is get it off the bridge.
Is that plastic now? That pipe, or is that,
I think it's probably steel if
Steel.
it's.
And it's an 8-inch pipe and a 10-inch sleeve.
okay.
Then they could do that like trenchless, right? Under the stream, they could do something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it would be relatively shallow, so yeah, they could do that. And we might even look at,
But we have our sewer line under there as well. We have
well,
our water
I'm
line
I'm
under there
thinking,
as well.
I'm thinking about using this opportunity to replace that, because that's an old line, and that line takes up a lot of flow now. It's, you know, all the new development on, up at Lowe's, and there's potential for multifamily going in on Old Crampon. So that pipe needs to be looked at, so we're thinking about
While we're there.
moving that and connecting to the 12-inch line that's on the other side of the brook.
So are you able to work on the culvert once you get the engineering report, whatnot, and keep the gas lines as is? There's gonna be
You know
some
what, I
disruption.
will have that discussion with Con Ed. I'm meeting them tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I will have that discussion with them that, you know, we're suggesting that, you know, based on our engineer's opinion, which he knows better than me for certain, you know, that we're asking that they should put that line under the stream. But I think when McDonald's was hooking up to the water line last week, they busted that water pipe as well, right?
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
So, and we didn't get any Big Macs or anything out of them. But,
Can they
so
trudge it
what-
into underneath the stream? cut the gas line?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they could use this to, basically they jack it under, they push it under through the dirt, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching at BOCES, they have like where they put the infrastructure on it with a machine. I was like, they're not even sending people down there. But I didn't know if that was a thing. If it
Yeah,
could be.
and it's not, it's not that wide of a stream, so it's not that,
It's not even that disruptive to the environment.
No.
So it's really the way to go. It's supposed to like blocking everything and opening it up.
yeah.
and
I
doing
mean,
a-
we actually did it a few years
an
back.
open
We
cut.
had to go under, we put a sewer line under that same stream, going into the pump station over there. So that's.
So it's been done for.
Yeah, so we did it with the DEC, approved it, and we just jacked under it.
So what we're looking for
Money.
is money, certainly, because we would like to get the show on the road sooner rather than later. And, engineering oftentimes takes months. We're hoping that we have a little bit of a head start here, and, it's a relatively simple precast culvert. It shouldn't be all that, but who knows, So, we're just looking for guidance as to how we should proceed at this point in order to expedite this project.
I'm not sure.
So Dan, if President Biden does not sign off on the disaster declaration, because I know a lot of this damage is storm-related too, are there any grants out there that you've seen for culverts right now?
I mean, the last two we did, we got funding through DOT, the Hill Boulevard and
Yeah.
Veterans Road. That was,
That was
we-
DOT funding.
and we got quite a bit of money under that program.
Yeah, we know this one has gone up exponentially.
Well, I also, when you read where it says that estimate,
Yeah.
we're not 100% positive that estimate is not for a rehabilitation and it is
No,
not
it
for
is. They were talking about a
right.
rehabilitation.
It's not a full
Right.
culvert replacement. So I
Yeah.
think we could easily assume we're looking at, and we had talked about this, Tom and Serge and all of you.
Yeah.
We've talked about it, and we're probably looking at about $800,000 for a
I
culvert.
think roughly the.
What was the
bridge
one
we
on
did
veterans?
The bridge of veterans, I think, was about $1 million.
Right, we were 3.2, I think, for both bridges.
Together,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think it was roughly $1 million for veterans.
We did the one
What
on
do they?
Greenwood
What's that
Street
thing
the
they
same
say?
time, didn't
You
we?
use your fund balance for a rainy day.
We did the
Well,
one
it
on
was
Greenwood
raining like
Street
it
the
was
same
raining
time?
like a son of a
That was
gun.
just a Band-Aid.
That was a Band-Aid on that?
Yeah, we didn't really fix it.
We did a temporary fix on that culvert 11 years ago,
Yeah.
and gave a 1 year. It
Another
lasted,
Band-Aid, another Band-Aid.
Yep.
But that one's got to be addressed at some point, too.
Yeah, and we did have FEMA and Westchester County OEM that had come through and inspected some of these areas that were hard hit by the storm, and to just get them noted on paper, and so we can hopefully, if things go through, and we're going to do a little resolution on that later on, but hopefully things will come from the feds that will give us some money to get these jobs done.
It's unconscionable that we were left out of FEMA, of the resolution, but anyway.
All right. So how do we move forward? I hate to be a nudge, but I don't want to leave here without a plan because my phone's ringing off the hook about this culvert.
Yeah.
It's like your phone with the garbage.
You got culvert, I got
You
garbage.
got right. So,
Do we?
RFP? We need to apply for,
We have to
Yeah,
give them a green light.
we'll have to do an RFP.
can
Get
we
it
do
done?
it? We have. You need a resolution to do an RFP.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
Diana, can you whip up a resolution to do an RFP?
Yeah, we can put it on for next Wednesday.
Another week. I don't want to wait another week.
And I think some.
Can't you whip something up on your little computer there?
Can't we just do a 3-line?
The town attorney.
Right. I need permission to go out for an RFP. I got to get an engineer on the job, and I got to get started.
Who we using, Dave? We're gonna
I
use-
don't know. We have to go out to RFP. We have cells, but there was an issue with cells with respect to the Veterans Road
Yeah.
culvert. There was something that occurred there, which I won't go into.
Right.
But
So Adam,
Let- don't open that
can you-
wound.
Listen,
Can you write
technically,
something up?
you don't need a resolution, right? You could do the RFP, get proposals, and come back to the board with your recommendation.
okay, that's good for us. Dan,
Fine.
good for us.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing that we got to, I think, consider is that RFP, bid documents, materials, the whole bit, you know,
2 to 3 months.
well, to have that bridge open, we're talking, I think, looking at a year, best case scenario. So do we need to do a temporary reinforcement?
I will not open that road with a temporary reinforcement. I will not be the guy who's sitting in court because an 8-inch
Well-
gas main blew. Period. That ain't happening.
Well, I mean, that's why we hire engineers. We could potentially put a whole reinforced slab over the top to stiffen it up and just raise the road
Mike, you know what
up.
my concern is there? My concern isn't automobile traffic. My concern is the triaxles that go through with, 28 tons of asphalt on them. Those trucks weigh 60,000 pounds, and they're bouncing over that bridge. And that was Con Edison's major concern, too. They said, Dave, keep the thing closed because as those big trucks come over here, and we know they don't pay attention to the signs, weight limits and all that. Nobody pays attention to anything. I had to stick trucks out there because people, 3 spots on each side said road closed, and people just moved the stuff out of the way.
All right, well, I mean, I think it's something.
But I don't want to. I also don't want to spend $300,000 worth of taxpayer money to do a temporary.
To do another
patch.
Band-Aid.
That's to me that's counterintuitive.
No.
I don't know. I mean, but I
I'm
feel
just
that
putting it out
opening it
there
is
that keeping the
imperative.
road closed for a year plus is going to be problematic.
You think?
I tell you, looking at this photo number 4, you folks don't have it out there, but it's the underside deck view northeast from within stream. I don't know that I'd take a tricycle over that bridge, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, no, I
and
know.
that was a couple of years ago.
Bad
Look,
enough
it's
that
with
you
no
get-
small trepidation that I close a road.
bad
But
enough
I
you
just
get
don't. I
somebody
got to be responsible to public
identify the
safety.
trees,
Period.
I don't know.
And I'm sure you guys. There ain't no question in my mind. You feel the same. So
Absolutely.
you know.
All right, so
right.
you're gonna proceed ahead with an RFP, right? And then I guess you're gonna come back to us, so this way you're not held up an extra week.
Right.
Town attorney has signed off on it. I don't think anybody.
To go out for bid for, we're gonna do an RFP to go out to bid for
And you
repair,
work-
Engineering
you work on the
services.
bid-
engineering services
bid
Yeah.
specs.
for repair of the
Yeah.
culvert.
Well, this will be an RFP that we would have the consultant put together the actual bridge
Right.
bid document.
And then, can we reach out to, DOT? See what we could,
Sure.
Yeah.
anything we could do to help lighten that burden, I'm sure would be appreciated by our taxpayers.
Yeah, no, supposedly there's
Okay.
infrastructure money out there, so we gotta
Yep.
figure out how to get our
Gotta
piece
find
of
it.
the pie.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks, Dan.
thank you, Dan.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Okay. Next, I am monopolizing this meeting tonight, aren't I?
Are you still up? What is going on?
Dave, your time is up.
No. Next is Rayal, Tree Services. Okay, before the July 3rd, 300 and X amount of trees dropped in our little town of Yorktown, we had about $15,000 left from the 50 that you guys were, how do I put this without sound like I'm blowing smoke, but you guys acknowledged that there was a problem with 5,800 acres of open space and nothing to take care of it. So you have been allocating $50,000 a year towards having somebody come in that where we can't. We can't take. We take care of what's on the road.
Right.
We don't climb trees. We don't have a 1,000,001 spider that just goes 100 feet straight up in the air. We don't have all those really cool toys. So we've been using rail, and particularly became very pertinent during the trees coming down, where there were trees all over communication wires, which theoretically are low voltage, but I won't put my guys near any kind of wires. So that being said, we use rail. So unfortunately, that $15,000, anyone want to guess what's in there now?
15,000.
No,
Zero.
$780.
Okay.
Cash green money. So what I'm looking for
Is anything
is
wrong?
an energizer of that particular line for some additional funding, so that as we get into the hurricane season and things like that. And Jimmy, is Jimmy still here?
He was.
Jimmy, if you want to come up for a minute. All right. Jimmy has been a big beneficiary of this particular line because as I remember when I was on the town board, a lot of thought didn't go into when a developer wanted to give property to the town, and I'll take ownership of that as well. It's like, well, what do you think we should do with it? Well, we can call it open space. We could call it a conservation easement. Oh, we could call it parkland. Oh, parkland sounds nice. Let's call it parkland. So Jimmy's got all these little parcels of parkland that are nothing but trees that are falling all over the place. In the middle of 100 trees, he's got 2 in the center that got to come down. So, so we're sort of out of money.
So, but this has been a blessing. So, thanks for the foresight here with creating this fund to help our neighbors that are having issues with our trees that are coming off our property. So, if you would consider, transferring some money into that line,
Infusing a bit into there.
yeah,
Infusing, good word.
Well, what's the number you guys are thinking about? You got a number, what's the number?
25. Here's the question. Do we take one bite of the apple, okay, and then come back in October when we have 5 hurricanes in a row, and then eat the rest of the apple, or do we eat the apple now? If we take a bite of the apple, 25,000 should get us to October, okay? As long as we don't have a lot of hurricanes and we don't have a lot of weather things, which we have no control over, we could theoretically be back to say, look, we used 50,000 in 6 months. So theoretically, if the next 6 months are similar, we would need 100,000, which mean an infusion of 50,000. I think with the culvert and everything on the table right now, it'd be more judicious to take a bite of the apple, and 25 would get us through the next few
And
months.
still from this last storm, I have a couple of jobs kind of in the queue. We're waiting to try and figure out what we're going to do here. So,
Because all this wonderful land we have has trees falling on it, coming down through people's fences
Yes,
and you got
their homes.
and their
Or
homes.
Ash, Dave, what you know about that issue with those trees? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we have this with the open space, and we have the ability to put this money in to do it, and I like the rec fees, not more land, but we could talk about that another day.
Well, I agree with that.
Dave,
I-
but,
I think to
is
keep
this way-
taking things that'll never be a park in abeyance of a rec fee
we don't
to
need it.
save a developer money,
But
I
my
don't think
question
so.
is this a place where we could make that line for that stream team that you were saying is so effective outside because of what it was internally? Is that something maybe to toss around with Pat?
I think we discussed the stream team in a couple of meetings ago, and one of the things we were concerned about was liability.
Yeah.
Going on private property.
No, I understand that. I guess what I'm trying to say is if there's always gonna be a liability, right? I had children.
But
and
you're going on
I go to
private
God, that's-
property.
I get that. But just like we go and fix meters, the water department, you get permission and there's
It's
things.
different. Highway superintendents go to jail for going and doing jobs on private property.
Okay, but what if it wasn't a highway superintendent? What if there was a line or a new team,
Who's
a
gonna
new
go out there and
staff?
stand with them?
No, it was a staff. It was an adult. There's
You
gotta
wanna
be
add
people that-
another department in?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
What if it had its own line, its own entity, and it was its own people,
Well, I
and
mean,
it works simultaneously with highway, with parks, with whomever when it came to specifically that. So we limit the liability. I'm just.
I know,
I'm not
I don't
asking Ramiro to come work for you, and
I don't-
I like him, but you don't want a full.
I don't
a
even know
full
who that
tree.
is.
He's a tree guy. He
Oh,
works for
okay.
rail.
Oh.
I'm just saying, is
Oh,
that a
Remy,
thing?
Resi?
Yeah.
Yeah, Resi, yeah.
So to make like let's say
A smaller department that does
that just does that,
even a seasonal department.
I think it becomes exponentially expensive for us to even
Now you
even
got
go
pension
through that.
obligations, you got all kinds of
Pension,
things
you got
burdening the taxpayers moving forward.
health benefits.
God
You
bless.
got
Bless
the stream team was a very laudable thing going back a number of years ago, but they had to put an MEO with them, if I'm not mistaken, Dave.
Yes. Sometimes the foreman.
Sometimes a foreman, because they're clearing stuff in the streams with chainsaws, etc. I'm not even sure they use chainsaws. Maybe the foreman did, but so it becomes a major liability. It's a great idea.
I don't
And-
disagree with it. It's a great
No,
idea.
I was just talking, you guys made it very clear to
Spitballing.
me why we don't have it
Yeah.
and what the costs and liabilities were. I guess my idea was if there was a way to get seasonal, I know that there's certain people, like department heads, or certain people that are not in the union and don't have certain things, or I don't know if there was, maybe Adam, it's something we kick around just to see, but if there could be a seasonal team to do something like this,
It definitely would
This is a
be
slightly different
beneficial
subject
to the
matter
town.
from what Dave is talking about, correct?
I get it, but I feel like it all works together. Like if we're doing this
Yep.
to clean the trees on the open land, there's also this other issue. And what happens with the trees that don't get cleared is they turn into debris, and then they clog
Yeah.
the same.
Well,
and
let
then
me
he's
tell you what we
lumping them
have.
out.
We have a lot of residents that have these streams running through their private property. Okay, they dump all their grass in there.
Yeah,
They
I
dump all
mentioned
their
this
leaves
last
in
week.
there. Okay, they drag their branches in there. And then if they know the town's gonna come and clean it out, they're gonna do it 4 times as much. That's what's gonna happen. Trust me, I've been doing this for 11 years at Highway. That's what happens. It's like, well, why aren't you cleaning the stream? I'm like, why did you throw your junk in there? You know, that's the problem. Once they think that you're gonna do that job for them, they're just gonna take advantage of the situation. But I agree, it's certainly something that should be addressed, because it also, the most important part of it is, how does that affect our flooding issues during weather events like we had 8.1 inches of rain in 6 hours? Are the streams causing that stuff to back up as well? Because once, just like out on Old Crampon, the stream is probably 10 feet wide. At the mouth of the culvert, it's probably, I'd say, 14 feet wide. Then on the other side, it drops down to 10 feet wide, like a mouth like this.
Yeah.
But then the stream itself is only like 6 feet wide. And that's the point, that if you make it bigger in the middle, it's just going to choke and overflow more as it comes through.
Because as it gets smaller and
That's
You know, to Dave's
unless
point,
you're able to make the whole thing 10 feet wide, and now you're spending millions of dollars.
if you can even get the permits to do it,
Oh yeah, that's DEC,
Yeah.
DOT. I mean,
It's
that's
crazy.
the alphabet soup of.
you know, years ago they put these streams in willy-nilly and
Right.
just, you know, here, let's get rid of this water and we'll send it down the road. But now you have the DEC, the DEP, the ABC, DEFG,
Yep.
and all of them are coming in, and it's just it's a tough thing. We're battling right now over towards Route 6, where there's property that does not belong to the town, so we can't actually go in there and clean that. Is Dan still here? I don't even know if he's still here. He left. He ran.
Smart.
He got smart. He left. That's right. So we were looking at ownership of different pieces of property right off of Hill Boulevard, et cetera. That, you know, everybody says no, it's not mine, it's his, and the other one says no, it's not his, it's mine, and it's crazy. Nobody wants to take ownership to do stuff that's expensive. Is basically what it is. We're not. People aren't good stewards of their land. That's the bottom line. So
All right, I don't want
Yeah,
to
thank you for
prolong the agony.
considering,
So, what do you guys think?
I think we
A
should.
little bite or a big apple?
I personally, I think that we should put it in. You know, to infuse, you know, a little bit more, because we are coming into storm season when we're going to get hit with the high winds and the October storms and so on and so forth. And
Why,
especially,
there's still leaves on the trees,
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately.
and the ground is wet, so it's just going to be a big sail, and it's just going to end up. We're going to end up needing that extra help, I think.
So
That's-
you got projects in the queue, you said, right, Jim?
Yes.
And are they large, small?
I'd say a day each project. So that's
So a day
roughly
is
$8,000, yeah.
$3,620.
So it's about $7,000 right there.
So you got 7,000 that you still have to pay for, which would come out right off the top of
right off the top. Yeah.
of the 25 you're asking us
I mean,
to infuse.
unless Dave has, Dave and I prioritize the jobs of what's most dangerous. A lot of his jobs are more dangerous than mine. So, you know, if he has things in the queue that are of a higher importance, you know.
No, I
kinda
used
let him
up
go
all
for
the
it.
money
But,
already.
yeah. But, you know, but that's kind of how we,
Yes.
you know.
You know, and
determine
it's
who's going first.
it's a fluid situation.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, today's, look, we had a little rain, we had some winds, gonna be some winds tomorrow.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we could
maybe
have
check
3 or
the
4
pack,
trees
too,
that
see where we're at,
snap
because we
and
still
are
have
hanging
the
over
water.
power lines, and we can't do anything.
my point,
And
so-
NYSEG isn't gonna come out unless they're on the power
7 off
lines.
the bat, but if he has a couple issues, then it could be a lot more.
so you have 780
They've got a
now.
lot of issues. I'm just,
I
Dave,
do.
You got 780 now.
But I look like I'm on vacation, so that's a good
Fine.
thing.
you're looking good. You're looking good.
You have 780 now. You want 25.
$780.
I'm aware.
Oh, okay.
$780.00.
$780,000.
$780. You want 25. I don't like to give people exactly what they want. Would you be happy with like 16, 15?
So then my question is, I'll make it real simple. When we can't take down these trees for the residents, shall we have them call you?
No, you don't have to.
Ah,
Actually, they call me
no.
anyway. But what if it goes in installments and it's not right away?
I
What if
think-
15 makes it go away? You don't know, 25 might not even be enough. You might need
Oh,
35.
it might not be, yes.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm just
you're
saying.
correct.
And I think
I'm
we
just
need to
asking. I
have.
don't know how this works.
We need to have a conversation with the comptroller and see what's actually possible.
Right.
So if the comptroller is saying, hey, look, only 10 works right now, then only 10 works right now.
And
It's
then
not-
in 3 weeks?
I talked to
For
her
the record,
earlier.
my
I
phone's
spent
always
over
on.
2 hours with Pat.
Oh, you talked to
earlier.
Pat
him
already.
call me.
All
Yes.
right, so you talked to Pat already.
I
Okay.
talked to Pat earlier.
I was just saying, I
and
didn't
I
want-
used the
if you
same
only
bite
had-
the apple
You
analogy.
only ended up getting 12. I didn't want him to get disappointed at us.
It's not a matter of disappointment. It's a matter of taking care of the residents. It's not Jimmy. I don't benefit from this at all.
No, I'm aware, but you might get
I have the
12
only
now,
tree
15.
crew in
Well,
town.
You know, we'll,
You know.
Listen, if it was up to me, I would
Yeah,
give
maybe
you
a reso
I'd
next
flood the
meeting.
yeah,
account
we'll come
and
up
then
with a
we'll do
reso
it
for
right,
next
huh?
week. I honestly don't have a problem with the 25, knowing that we're most likely going to use it, and maybe more. Depending on that storm season goes, we don't know what it's gonna do.
Look, this is like Dave was saying. This is for our residents.
Yeah.
Right? This is helping them out with some of the dead trees that are falling all around their properties and
Yep.
their roads. So let's help our residents here.
Absolutely.
That's not a
Absolutely.
problem, but, okay, so next
We'll
week.
go over it with Pat next week. We'll figure out exactly what we're gonna do. We'll have a resolution and go from there.
That's wonderful news. I
Okay.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, board,
Thanks, Dave.
supervisor. Okay, I've just got 6 more things.
Oh, my God.
Your time is up. I told you.
And well said, because my time is up. I talked about the bid. Oh, no, the sinkhole.
Oh, the sinkhole.
The sinkhole.
Have we determined ownership of that sinkhole?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
No. Apparently, New York State DOT has something to do with it. Apparently, Westchester County Parks has something to do with it, and nobody wants to take ownership of it. So apparently, not apparently, definitely, 11 years ago, right before I got the highway sleeved that pipe that went from across from Meadows Farm, from Kear Street, through the restaurant, through what used to be Labriola's Garden Center, but then became DeVito's buildings there, and then underneath Underhill, and right by the edge of Meadow Farms' building into the manhole there. So that part of that is good. So did we assume ownership of that at that point, just to that point? In other words, here's what happened. 5 years ago, the Westchester County Parks, they have their bike trail there, all right? Right on our side of their bike trail, they had a basin, all right? They had the exact same thing. Their pipe failed from that basin. It lets out in the stream behind my garage, okay? So they dug it up and replaced it. So when I met with them out there, they were very amenable, which is not usually the case. I mean, I get along good with them, but they're like, well, we'd be willing to do this together with you. So Diana's done some research on it. We've come up with nothing, right? That indicates who owns it, correct? Right? So the money that we paid back when we put the skate park there, who do we pay that money to?
We didn't pay anybody to put the skate park.
There had to be a dollar payment or something to put the skate park. There has to be a memorandum of understanding.
It was a use and.
An MOU?
Use and occupancy?
And I think that, I think we should check with planning because they really did the turnaround and stuff like that. So I think that maybe the answer is to look to planning and see.
See, it's sort of like that place on the river there where you could be in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York in the same spot.
Gap?
I think, right? At the Delaware Water Gap. So this is the same thing. We're at
I
DOT, we're at county parks, and we're at Yorktown. But nobody's saying, "Oh, this is wonderful."
And I think we're probably going to end up actually having to get more sections of that fence because it is starting to migrate towards
Yes.
the Meadows Farm.
Yes.
And have we found that manhole at Meadows Farm, or have we determined that it's
I
buried
haven't
under a
honestly.
pile?
To be honest, I haven't gone in there and looked for it.
I know that actual property there only goes about 10 foot past their back door, if I'm not mistaken, and the rest is DOT property. So they've been utilizing the area there to store the wood, sell the wood, whatever they're doing. So may have to be cleared out to get to that particular manhole if we can locate it.
Yeah, if the pipe was just, not great, the chance of sleeving it would be a possibility, which would certainly be a quicker and easier fix.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the pipe just broke and got crimped. So now it's causing apparently is causing flooding on Kear Street, buildings on Kear Street, and what have you.
Oh,
Yes,
so it's broke probably back up there where we see it migrating towards the Meadows. Wonderful.
So we know it's good from Kear Street to the catch basin at the Meadows because we know that was done 11 years ago.
Yeah.
What from the the manhole in the meadows to our manhole. That's where the problem seems to exist. And then from our manhole down to the park's manhole, which, you know, I think they ought to take some ownership of the issue.
Yeah, maybe we could do a public-public partnership. And see if we can get them to.
They seemed amenable to helping. That doesn't necessarily translate to dollars, you know?
They might have the pipe, they might have something that we can
Right.
use that we don't have to go out and buy.
Yeah,
and-
that's a 36-inch pipe.
Yeah, I know we have to
We
rent.
got almost $9,000 just in pipe for 120 feet.
That's right. And they
And
got,
we got to rent an excavator because a 36-inch pipe, my mini excavator can't span that trench.
yeah.
So I think we're looking at least 15,000. And the reason I haven't gone and ordered the pipe, and we'll do the labor for nothing, but, you know, as you can see, we're replacing pipe in the center of town. Everything in town is collapsing. I get 2 or 3 sinkholes a day. So I really don't want to burn $15,000 worth of my drainage line on this because I'm not feeling all that warm and fuzzy about it.
All right, so I guess we'll reach out to and I know you have already reached out to Westchester County.
Yes.
And I know they've been pretty good about it.
They
from what-
came out right away, met us there. Yep, they were very nice.
And they were even out the other day, the OEM, and they were looking at it, and they were going, "Ooh, I think this might be ours too." And I guess we have to figure out if there's an MOU that goes along with that particular juncture, and see who's responsible for what. And
Well, that's the thing with infrastructure, you know, even if we had a maintenance agreement with whomever we took that property from, does maintenance mean we've got to replace, you know, $30,000 worth of pipe in the ground?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maintenance to me is cutting the grass.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, all right, so we're gonna have to look into that a little deeper, and I guess take a deeper dive into when that was turned over, turned over to the town per se, and see what we got,
Order some more fence. in
and,
the
or-
interim.
and order a couple more sections of fence to rent.
Look, like I said, I'm not adverse to doing it.
Yeah.
I'll supply the labor, okay? My men and women will go out there and get it done. It's 100 feet of pipe. We'll get it done in a day, 2 days. But I don't want to take the hit to the drainage budget.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so you'll be working on that with the county.
Okay. All right, I'm finished. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, thank you.
All right, so there's an update there. Just a quick update, as most of you know, a week ago Sunday, we ended up having a 12-inch water main break out on 35, which was quite an adventure. That's going to end up costing us quite a bit of money to be determined on how much it's going to be. The state now is mandating that we go from, I forget, Dave, how far?
300 feet by 30 feet.
300 feet by 30 feet. We have to go past the cut where we opened up and then go 300 feet back down, 2 feet down, replacing base, binder, two layers of top. So right now we're in talks with the state to find out our best route into getting that particular area repaired.
Now, sorry to interrupt, but the other area at Greenwood Street, you know, we were able to do that, but it was nowhere near this level of disturbance. We dug it out, we rebuilt the entire road, and, you know, we saved a ton of money, but I was able to orchestrate it with our paving contractor. He was doing Greenwood, Evergreen Street, and he just came right out there and did it while he was there. Nobody wants to come out and do 300 tons of asphalt. You know, it's just not, there's no money to be made that way.
Yeah, it'll be a complete rip out down 2 feet, and then new item 4, from what I gathered,
Yep.
looking at the diagrams, and then, like I said, about 18. Was it 18 inches or 10 inches? I forget what the lifts were of.
Oh, they want to compact, what they tell you when you were out there, 6 inches?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they want 6-inch lifts compacted. You know,
every 6 inches.
every 6 inches, and
Standard is 8 to 10,
yeah.
you know, so.
And then what do you mix it with?
Item 4.
Item 4?
Yeah.
Nothing.
You don't mix it.
You're just tampering it down,
Put
do
down
it again.
item 4 basically creates
Well, it has
the
like that
base.
gator glue.
Yeah.
It kind of clicks together.
Yeah.
We
Little
like
water.
we like the recycled item because we feel that A, we're not paying for it, we've got an
We have it.
arrangement, and B, we feel that it compacts much better.
Well, yeah, it's thicker too.
You know,
It's
yeah, so-
mushier.
Because it has asphalt in it, it has
It has a whole bunch of milling,
ground up
yeah.
concrete, millings, so we feel that that's very effective for us.
And I don't know if the state would be amenable to us doing actually the electrical resistivity test over there to see what's underneath, to see if there are any voids. That maybe we don't have to go down that far. But I think they're pretty adamant that they want us to take up that whole road. So that's going to be a major disturbance for a good period of time. Wonderful.
Yes. And
So,
the hits just keep on coming.
yes, they do. It's a wonderful thing. Okay. Dave, that's it, I think, right?
I think I'd rather not talk about anything else.
Yeah,
No.
we would.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would prefer that as well.
Very much.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay, we have Jim Mortorano Sr. Coming up here for ethics code revision. There's been an outcry for ethics code stuff
Thank
here.
you. Thank you for having us tonight.
Hi, Bob.
We have alumni here, which I want to congratulate also on helping us work this up. Bob's here. Lynette was going to make it, but I think she's been going through
Excuse
some
me.
medical issues, and I'm sure she's watching us on TV. But I want to thank the town board for taking this up. And no water, no garbage, and it's not going to cost you a penny.
No bridges.
Not going
no
to cost you a
trees.
penny.
Well, some of it is, we've been worked, but Adam.
I wouldn't know how to act, Jim, if you don't give me some water, some trees, some,
Right, right.
some bridges.
You're looking good, Jim. How are you?
So I'm okay, hanging in there. Under section 4510 C1, one of our duties on our ethics board is to propose to the town revisions in the law. And we worked on this, and again, I want to thank Mary and Sergio and the other members of the board and Bobby. We worked on this for some time and submitted to the town board last year, and we're hoping that the town board adopts the revision. The emphasis on the revision is transparency, and also we cleaned up the old law, which had a lot of little things in it that needed to be cleaned up. But I think you'll find that there are not many revisions. It's really 99% the existing law, but it does kind of tighten it up a little bit. Makes it easier to read for a layperson. You don't have to be a lawyer to read this. And I believe that one of the things internally that we would like to do, and I realize that we set our own guidelines, Sergio, and we didn't know that, but we could have made our own guidelines in terms of communication with the complainant. Heretofore, if a complainant issued a complaint, we never felt that we could communicate with them and tell them whether it proceeded or not. But my reading of this says that we can form our own internal guidelines so we could make it more complainant friendly.
I think the internal guidelines, just you have to they need to be approved by the board or something
Right, well,
like
we'll
that.
submit it to the town board if you,
Well, yeah, that's right. And I even have a copy of all the guidelines
Yeah,
that we
right.
have on our website,
Appreciate that.
so those aren't being changed. We're just proposing changes to this, and we're still following the guidelines that are on the site.
of course.
Okay. All right.
I want to thank you for having us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
I think we, now that we have this, Jim, we'll look it over, digest it, go through it, redline what we find, and see if
If you want to call us back, we're happy to.
call you
come.
back, and maybe we'll have a discussion on.
One of the things I
different
want to change is the salary of the ethics board member.
Well,
That will
That would be
triple it.
Why
unethical.
not?
0 to 0?
No, you're getting 100% raise.
There was no money coming from.
Four times, maybe 4 times 0 is.
We'll triple it.
Where do you
gonna
guys
quadruple.
meet now? What room? Where do you guys normally meet?
Engineering.
Yeah, we,
Engineering, great. You can meet on the first floor. There's your raise. We got you. Don't worry
But
about it.
look,
we get no respect.
I'm
You're going from the
into some-
basement to the first floor.
Going into some budgetary stuff, 100% raise for both of you. Okay.
Better
Tell
clarify
the
that.
other.
Don't
three
tell the
members.
others.
You want to give an update?
so
Stay
we'll
on,
safe.
uh,
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Jim, we'll go through this and then we'll call you guys back
Give an
in a
update
couple
on
of
the
weeks.
steps we've taken to.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Adam.
Want to give an update on the steps we've taken though to address some of the concerns that were raised in the Harrington report. the
Yes,
recommendations.
please.
And Jim, I don't know that I mentioned this to you or not, but we have taken steps to with our IT consultants to set up a sort of a more secure way for the ethics board to conduct its business, including secure town email addresses.
Yeah, I saw that. You sent me an email.
Okay,
I
all right.
appreciate that.
All right, sure.
Very much,
So
of
you know,
course.
we're moving along with that.
Appreciate it.
Um,
Thank you. Nice to see all of you. Have a nice evening.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we'll look this over and come out with some suggestions and red lines and so forth, and we'll go from there. All right.
I have one more thing.
Oh, of course you do.
No, it's a public interest thing.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of discussion. You know, fortunately, the new golf course and restaurant are very successful. Okay.
Yes.
And you and I were discussing that earlier today.
Yes, we were.
So there's been a lot of question about people coming out of there, which is the park and ride that is the state's, but we maintain it, putting a no left turn sign there. So today I sent an email out after, you know, seeing who I should be speaking to, requesting permission to put that sign up. So we can't do anything until they give us permission because we're accessing their road.
Right. The other,
Even though we maintain the park and ride, it's still their property.
Right.
Just so everybody knows that certainly we're all on top of it. We're doing the best we can, but there are, like you said, there are protocols in place that we just can't do whatever we feel like.
we just can't. We just
I mean,
can't
we
put
like
a sign
to do
up.
whatever we
Oh yeah. Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness and his permission, but in this case, we thought we'd go by the rules of the road, so to speak. And we have there's some other things we're going to do out there with regard to turning into the actual roadway, because if you go there on a busy night, a fire truck or even an ambulance would have a tough time making that turn, especially when you come right off of Route 6 and you got the cars parked right in front of you. So there's
Both
going to be
sides, yeah.
both sides, and then you have both sides going all the way down. So we're going to have to go out there and actually bring the fire truck down there to see how much room it actually needs to make those particular turns, to do it safely for the firemen, to do it safely so if there is a fire there, God forbid, we can get it put out, and to make sure that we have a way to get an ambulance in, because cars parked on both sides, you basically can't get an ambulance. You can basically not get your car down there. It's difficult.
It's even the initial turn when they pull in.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's where you need don't block the box at that
Yeah,
location.
right.
Yeah, can we also, in that area, Dave, can you designate any of that through local law for no parking?
We can. That's why we want to get, you know, a clear, you know, idea of what the fire truck needs to get in, what the, what the ambulance needs to get in. So then we can indicate no parking spots, and on the entrance and egress, we could then do a don't block the box as well to double reinforce the fact that we need to have that swing available.
And you could always borrow Carol, because she tells me I'm not allowed to make the left turn there. So
Oh, yeah.
you know, put her in everyone's.
You could
car
bring
and say,
Nancy along too then, yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Hey, Dan Ciarcia, little Halleck's Mill sewer extension update.
Hey, you back again?
How you been?
Good to see you.
Good to see you again. All right. It's been quite a journey, and the journey continues.
It continues.
So, you know, there's a project that's been around for a while, and it's a project that's been around for a while, so we're going to update you guys on where we've been, what's been going on, and where I think we're headed.
And we're trying to get this moving ahead, and it's
There's a lot of twists and
a
turns.
lot of twists and turns in this one.
So the story begins, we had earlier feasibility studies, but the one that really drilled in was by our consultant GHD back in 2018. That really provided us with the framework for establishing the district. That in turn, that report was then utilized to what's called a map plan and report. And that terminology relates to the town law and how you establish special districts. A map plan and report has two important functions: that it describes what it is you're intending to raise taxes for, and then it also tells people how much their taxes are going to go up. So that the GHD report, the information in there was used to prepare the map plan and report, which was used as the basis for petitions. Now, we created this sewer district back in 2019. We did it by petition. So come December of 2019, we reached the threshold of 50% of the resident owners, which is when you're following that section of town law for establishing a sewer district, that's what you need. So subsequent to that, we had to work on getting our application to go to the state controller's office, which provides us with the approval to raise taxes. Now, there was some confusion as to, at the time that we really didn't have to go to them, but after talking to bond counsel, we concluded that it did have to go to Albany because we did exceed the threshold, because it's not just the cost of the capital cost, the tax associated with the capital cost, it's also your bottom line on your taxes. What are we talking about in terms of operating? You got to pay another tax once you connect to the plant, and all that collectively is really the tax burden you'd be putting on somebody. So we had a hearing in May on it, and shortly thereafter, the Board of Legislators adopted a resolution which provided us, or sort of released the East of Hudson funds to us, the $10 million. But the caveat to that was we needed an IMA, an intermunicipal agreement, before we could actually truly have access to the funds. And as I said earlier, you can't go to, once you go into Albany, you got to put a bow on it. You got to show that all the financing and grants and anything else you have is all in place. So finally, while that was all going on, we actually got a grant from then Congressman Mondaire Jones. We got another $1.2 million. And once we got everything in place in 2022, in July, we actually went to put our package together and submitted to the state controller's office. And then in October, we got our first comments back. And there were a couple of comments, technical, but there was two really big ones that created an issue that wasn't going to be easy to fix. One is that the map plan and report that was the basis of telling people how much this was going to cost was prepared in 2019. It's now 2022. We've had the pandemic. We had all kinds of inflation. So they asked the question, are the numbers that you used in the map plan and report still valid?
Yeah, I remember that.
We really couldn't with a straight face say, sure, it's going to cost as much as it did in 2019. That's really not the case. So that was something that there was kind of no way around it. The other thing, which was an issue, was the matter of assessment, that we basically just divided the number of parcels. We basically made every lot one unit, which is not appropriate. That unfortunately, that's how they did it. That you have to use a unit charge methodology. So we've subsequently gone back and used the method we've used on previous sewer districts and recomputed everything. So this is just, the statistics of, how many unsewered parcels, and the bottom table was the plan we wanted to go with, those three areas, Birch Street, Sparkle Lake, and Sunrise Street. Those were the areas that were part of the 2019 map plan and report that we were made part of the project we were trying to advance. So I was just getting into the flows and making sure we had capacity at the plant to accommodate them, and that all worked because it really didn't add up to all that much.
Are they on the rolling average of MGDs on that?
Well, we're still compliant on the rolling average, and
Yeah.
the flow basically for all of those people would be 0.14, and that would be if they all came online immediately.
Yeah.
Typically not everybody connects right away, so that would be probably a slow-moving process to actually get to the full 0.14 MGD.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? When you're putting in these sewers, you'll leave a stub at each home so that they would then be able to
Yes.
just fill, do it at a
Yes.
future
Yeah,
time?
no. Yeah, no, it'd be brought up to the property line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And actually, one of the other issues that we had to address was that the health department requires that if we go with these low-pressure systems where everybody gets a pump, their feeling is that it's a workaround to a gravity system. So part of the improvement requires that we purchase the pump and install it
For the homeowner.
for the homeowner, because they're getting that in lieu of a gravity tap. So that was another budgetary issue that had to be revisited. But the bottom line is everybody gets a place on their property to physically connect to the sewer without having to go into the street. You're worried about cutting into the
Yes.
street.
The
I know where
key
you're
word-
going,
The
Dave.
key word now is street.
But are we still doing, I thought that you were looking at it from a different perspective where it would all be gravity and we wouldn't be using as many pumps. Didn't we have that conversation?
Yeah, no, we talked about,
Section of that,
we
yeah.
talked about, particularly in Sparkle Lake area.
Right?
There were other opportunities to bring some people in by gravity. And, that's when we get into the detailed engineering.
Okay.
Because the truth is, at this phase, at the map plan and report phase, really the obligation is to prepare a defendable cost estimate of the project and do a layout, but, not get into the real nuts and bolts of the project.
Okay.
So we will, obviously, if the project moves forward, we plan on value engineering that and try to, I'd always prefer to eliminate these pumps any place I can.
Yeah, that pains in the neck. All right, so we have enough capacity here, is that what we're looking at?
Right, at the plant, so we can handle it.
Okay.
Hey, Dan, with I know that part of the problem with all of the gravity ideas, we're actually gonna reroute the sewer line itself to bring it down. A different route, we have to get all easements, et cetera, from everybody on that route, right? Correct? So we had to,
No, there wasn't a ton of easements,
yeah.
and, we've done it in the past. You've got one in your backyard.
I know.
That was part of making Stony Street work. We got quite a few easements
I
to,
can give you an easement,
But you didn't need a pump-up system.
but I did need a pump up.
right?
Thank God.
We like gravity,
Yeah,
Gravity is good.
yeah.
all right.
So this is how the numbers played out. So it was 315 parcels. In the original map plan report, we were 14.3 million. We were getting the East of Hudson, $10 million. We were going to bond 4.3 over 30 years, and that would work out to a typical property paying $782.
Where's the 1.2 million from Mondaire Jones?
Yeah. Well, we didn't
Sorry.
have, we didn't have it at that time. I mean,
Oh.
this was the
So you
basis.
figure that will offset the
This,
cost of
this
that?
was, this
It's
was the
not same?
basis of the map plan and report, which
Which
had
we know
standing.
is, had inflation.
Right. So then we updated it. Still the same number of parcels. Now, what we did is we went back into the old reports. We compared it to current price estimates, other bids that have come in. We worked with our present consultants, EDR, had them take a look at the numbers. So the new number we come up with is 20.3 million right now. That's what we're looking at. So again, with the East of Hudson funds,
There's that little
the Jones
1.2.
grant, we'd have to bond 9.1 million over 30 years, which ends up almost being $1,800 a year. So-
Increase in taxes to those residents.
Right. So
Those res-
that,
Just
so
for
that would,
those residents that are getting the,
so it's a scenario that I would say is DOA.
wow.
I think most people would oppose it, because again, we'd have to get a majority on that. Now, the other thing we looked at is if we were to get water quality improvement grant, which we'll be putting in for the next round, which is due next month. So plugging in the same numbers, the amount to be bonded now goes to 6.8, and that's assuming we would get 25% of what would have to be bonded. Again, over 30 years, it's still not great. It's like $1,300. So it's, it's not as affordable as we originally was.
Not as
So
appealing
each
unless you have
resident
a
would pay
failed
about
septic.
$150 a month more in taxes, give or take.
Yeah. So,
100.
so here's sort of, and this is what I was talking about earlier, about figuring out the increase in taxes, because, that you have to look at the whole picture. You can't just look at this. So, for example, using with the grant, people would be paying the $1,300 plus $572 would be the Halleck's Mill sewage treatment tax. Plus they'd be paying another $140 on their water bill, which takes you up to $2,000. So that's, again,
That's your best case scenario.
well, I mean, there's a chance
To tap in.
there's a chance that maybe we can get some more money under the Water Quality Improvement Grant. Because I was actually pleasantly surprised on our pump station application, because I think we got closer to 60%. So,
But you factored in 25% from the water
25%.
quality improvement.
right,
So right now, with that factored in at 25%, we're at $2,000 a year.
right.
And that's our best case scenario unless we get 60% or whatever.
Some more monies that come in.
Yeah, so, so
Dan, out of curiosity, what does it cost to operate a septic, pumping and treatment and all that?
$600 a year to
Well,
pump.
no, we
I
have a
just had mine
resident back there
done.
who's got his.
Well, you
septic.
don't
I
have to
mean,
do
how
it
much
every
does it
year.
cost?
Theoretically, it's something in the
I
code
pay-
that says it has to.
you don't have to do it every
Me
year.
too. How much is it every year?
Yeah, I paid $600.
I pay 600.
Yeah, but it depends on your
Probably
septic
use my
system,
guy.
and it depends on
mean,
how
people
your
live in the
leaching fields
house.
are, and it depends on so many factors. Some people don't pump their septic for 3 years. Some people have to do it every 3 months. Other people have to do it, so it's.
So it
it's-
depends on what you.
It's
No,
not
but
a-
people who are doing it 3 months don't have a solids buildup. They have a disposal buildup, that the water isn't percolating into the ground. There should be no reason to do it every 3 months, other than the water doesn't go away.
Right.
Oh, well,
Because a septic tank
That
works,
makes sense.
a septic
There's a lot of
tank,
water.
a septic tank working properly is only supposed to capture the solids. And that can go on for a couple of years. But if people do it more often when their fields flood out, and they're out of options as to what they can do.
So there's no choice.
So,
So you're saying it's cost to hook it up all in annually is about $2,100.
right. And
The
we don't
increased
know. So let me just run through what I think we got to do here.
Can I say something?
Dan, I'm sorry, I just have one, now the taxes that you showed up there, people still pay tax into the sewer district, is that above and beyond?
They're not paying tax to the sewer district if they're not connected.
Okay,
So nobody should be paying to Halleck's Mill.
okay.
I have a question. While you're explaining the pros and cons, would not a pro be that if your house is on sewer as opposed to on septic, which is a huge variable, we know it could cost $25,000 to $40,000 to bring in bank run and redo a septic, would it not be a sales point for these people to say, hey, for $2,000 a year, if I go to sell my house, it's going to be worth $20,000 more, because now somebody buying it doesn't have to worry about septic.
Not
mean-
everybody shares that opinion.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
A lot of people are looking at how much tax they're paying, and the notion of it going up another couple of grand is
It's a lot.
unacceptable to them.
Yeah. Considering like
And
you say,
anything over 10 isn't deductible anymore.
right.
Right.
Considering,
Then
like you
there's
say,
that.
an average septic system is somewhere around 40 grand. It's between 30 and 40. So it's,
And in some cases, you know what? If people have bad soils, high groundwater, generally, sometimes no matter how much money you throw at it, you're going to have a chronic problem.
yeah.
That's an unfortunate reality for some properties out there. So the way I thought we'd approach it is, let's get the grant application in and see what happens, because that'll make a big difference if we can, help underwrite the cost of this.
Say it's basically a deal buster unless we get those grants.
And then, if we get the grant, then we would revisit the map planner report. Now, one of the things we could do is last time, we'd be at a fork in the road in terms of how we establish the district. We could either do it the way we did it last time by petition, or the town board could do it on their own motion. And if the town board does it on their own motion, it's then subject to permissive referendum if enough people object to it. So, the question is, to Dave's argument, some people will be all in, I want to do it, and other people will be like, no way, I'm not, raising my taxes.
So,
Can't afford
I don't mean to interrupt you, but, because I've only been in this seat for little under 2 years, this Halleck's Mill thing feels like it is way longer than my time here, so I'm curious. Did we ever apply for a grant before? Are we now reapplying for the grant? Is there a chance that we
No,
would
we
get
don't-
denied the grant? Did we get denied the first time?
We've never applied for a grant under that program.
So
Under this program.
So this, okay, so this is.
Are you
I
skirting
know
that,
Pat,
are you
if Pat's-
skirting that question?
Yeah.
The question was, have you
Thank
ever
you.
applied for a grant?
Yeah, on this,
Sir?
no, because
Sir,
the
I'm
Halleck's
holding
Mill
you
thing, I think, was
contempt.
going on before I sat here, right? Like way before, right? How long have you guys been working on this
When
this
was
sewer
when was
district?
the 10 million, was 20 years ago?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, all right. So then it's really further than me. Okay, I didn't think it was that further. So sorry, I didn't do my thorough homework. So my question is, what's prevented it from going through with the grant and all of the plans before? Like,
We had a sewer moratorium for many years.
but then we were able to move
And the
Moratorium, we
flooding-
just
the
I
lifted.
mean, the unfortunate thing that happened was
the
this
flow.
The flow was an issue.
big lag in time between having the petition signed and actually having all the funding in place.
So there was like a miss in like how it aligned.
We didn't have a commitment on the $10 million until last year. So
They've
we-
been holding
so
it
we-
for what, 20-something years, right?
Yeah. More
So
than that.
finally, that's what we were waiting for. I'm just asking like what the liability is, because once you put in the grant's gonna offset the pricing and get the
Well,
job going.
we're talking about the East of Hudson.
$10
Nothing,
million.
nothing precludes us from, these grants come up.
Right, no, I understand
Right,
that,
so
but the 10,000 now has a location for it to go. The 10 million, or whatever it was,
10
whatever it
million,
was,
yeah.
So I'm just asking, if we don't get the grant, does that mean that the process, that it's not able to be done?
No, I mean, it's really, the appetite for the people in the district to, if
The
we don't get the
315
grant, to
people are
pay
gonna
that
pay
much tax.
$2,000 extra a year.
That's with the
So it's gonna
grant.
be up to them.
It's gonna be up to the
Without
people.
that 25%, it'll be more than that.
Right.
So, I mean, and part of this is, we could do the map plan and report. We could also sit tight and see if we make it on this next round of funding, if we get selected, and for how much, because then we could redo the map plan and report, and then start a whole new public participation process. We can decide whether we want to do it by petition or by the town board's motion. But it just, without it, if we go back to this, what was it, I think $1,700 a year scenario just for I'm sorry, it was like 1,900.
Problem is,
Without-
we're chasing our tail. The longer it takes, the more
And
expensive.
the more it's
it
gonna
gets.
cost, because
The more expensive it gets to put it in. So,
No, I mean,
that's what.
I mean, it's all how you want to,
Confidence.
because the application we have, we can't.
Well, without the
we
10
can't- we
million from
can't-
East of Hudson, you
Well, we
couldn't
can't
move
answer,
anyway.
we can't answer the questions from the Office of the State Controller. We can't,
Right.
the price went up, and TikTok, it's going up every day. We're not doing it.
So,
Right.
so I'm gonna ask you a question, which I apologize if I sound ridiculous. You bring the line, it's my job to hook up to it,
Right.
right? It's like natural gas, right? If you get natural gas, and I don't want my natural gas, I like my propane tank, I don't have to dig to go get it. So my question to you is, isn't it our job to bring the sewer line, whether or not every house wants sewer, or not every house has sewer?
No, I mean, that's the way it's gotta be. You
Right,
can't-
so
you
I don't
can't-
understand how it matters if the constituents want it or not, minus the easement, like the supervisor was
Well,
saying, so you have access to cut the
Well,
road
the-
and bring
well,
it.
here's the thing. If you do it by petition, you gotta get 50% of the people to sign on.
So if,
So,
All right.
hold on. No, so even just bring a sewer district, you need 50% to say, yes, we want it.
correct.
Off, even if they end up not even hooking up to it, but they're interested in it.
Right.
For
and
you to even file
and
it.
you can't like put one guy in, one guy out. Obviously, the pipe's running in front of the house.
Yes, of course.
So it's everybody, it's gotta be contiguous. You can't.
It's all or nothing.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
You know,
I
and the
understood.
thing is that, yes, everybody signed a petition, but the deal that was represented to them was based on financing $4.3 million. So we can't achieve that any longer.
Because what happened to the thought of having that money? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
line up.
it's not gonna be
Prices
$4.3
went up.
million
Yeah.
anymore.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
gone up
It's
substantially.
based on a percentage from that time, which was 20 years ago. You just-
No, the
No,
time was
No, it's
2000
based on
2018.
2019.
before.
That's when the folks signed the petition. The cost estimate and the estimation of their tax increase was done in 2019.
And in all fairness,
and-
COVID hit. I mean, and then that
Yeah,
was
and
just like a.
We kind of, I
Time
looked
warp.
at a bunch of different ways. We revisited.
Yeah,
Hold on, hold on,
folks, we
hold on.
can't-
I understand. But what does COVID have to do with the process and Albany and all that? Go ahead.
But, well, no, there's an easy answer to that. It has nothing to do with the process in Albany. What it has to do with is the cost of construction that escalated during that period.
That's right.
And they're asking the question, are the numbers you told folks in 2019, are those numbers still valid? And we
They're
can't
not.
honestly say that those construction costs are still valid because of
They're
how
not.
prices have escalated since then.
You know, since the inception of this project, we've had to, the plan is what, 2.5 million, right?
Well, technically, we're permitted at 1.5.
1.5, but with the rolling average and so on and so forth.
Well, there's a process we have to go through to kick it up to 2.5.
Right. So we were able to get through that with the rolling averages, which took the moratorium off of the sewer. Once we took the moratorium off the sewer, then we could have started getting the 10 million once they released it from east of Hudson. And then we got the 1.2 million from Mondaire Jones. And then once again, the COVID that hit, you know, you had no work. You had the price of everything astronomically went up. And now you have, you know, where you went from somebody paying, in 2020, it was about $560 a year. Then in 22, it went up to $796 plus. And then now it's $1930 plus, whatever the year, $1940, whatever it was at that point. So the prices have astronomically gone up for everything, the material, the labor, the whole 9 yards. So there was
Salt,
a
asphalt,
stepping sign. And
right?
what's that?
Salt, asphalt.
Salt,
Salt's
asphalt.
up,
It's
up 70% in
so
1
y-
year.
so your-
Asphalt
So
up
your next step.
from 77 to 121.
So the
Everything
ne-
is through the roof.
So the next steps are going to be to. I mean, this has been going on since 2018. So the next steps are to apply for the New York Water Infrastructure Grant. That's coming up, you said, by next month.
Next month, we got to get that.
And we're committed to doing that, you said that. And then whether or not we get that grant, you're going to go to revise the map plan and report, or you're going to wait to see if you get that grant?
Well, I think it'll be the town board's call, you know, if we want to go through with it. You know, I'm sure we'll get some feedback as to, you know, some people are going to say, I don't care, I'm on board, I got to get off my septic. And other people will be like, no way you're raising my taxes that much.
I mean, how do we
So-
get a feel for whether or not the approximate $2,000
Well,
is going
I
to
mean,
be
we-
something viable?
I mean, we could have some type of public participation, you know, do like a hearing, have people come up and speak.
Set up a survey.
Last time around, yeah, I think they did a survey.
So I have a question again. My understanding is everyone in this particular sewer district, whether they hook up or they don't hook up, they will be paying that tax, correct?
Correct,
It's amortized over the entire sewer district.
correct.
Even those
So
who have
poor
sewers.
people that decided not to do it, they're not gonna be happy at all. But the people that need it, if it doesn't happen,
It doesn't,
they're not gonna
it
be happy.
doesn't impact people who already have sewers.
No, the 315, we're talking about the 315 people
Right,
that you got
right.
as account. I mean, look, I mean, I think, you know, I mean, hooking up sewers and getting rid of septic environmentally is, you know, you have to, you know, I mean, it really is the right way to go. I wonder if there's any grants out there that, you know, kind of like are for, you know, getting rid of your septic.
That's the WIA grants.
That's the WIA grant,
Yeah,
that's what that does?
that's the
That
right
adds to that.
program. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
How do you decide?
folks, we can't, no one could hear you except us, so please. I think it's important, I hear a lot of frustration, which we have as well. It's really a process, and unfortunately, the state regulates a lot of the processes, and we're a very small target for them. And, you know, we've brought stuff up, and they're like, oh, this is great, go back to the drawing board, because we want it done this way, we want it done that way. So we're equally as frustrated, we want to find the right way to move, and trust me, you know, I have a lot of friends who live in your area, and.
But I'm looking at the districts, my district isn't even brought up,
Okay,
so, you know, that's the
All right.
frustration.
but,
Been to my home, so you know.
oh, you're over in Bohemia?
Yeah, there's no sewer there,
Right,
none whatsoever.
Well, Paramount up the block, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, you know,
So-
I've seen the plan.
right, so, okay, but, yeah, I'm sorry, we can't, if you wanna have a conversation offline, so, right. So, Dan, I know that you've been diligently going, and I know Sergio's asked about the next steps and the
yeah,
grants.
and,
so-
you know, and trust me, we were very concerned about the number. You know, we went back, because the original construction cost estimate was done by a previous consultant, not EDR. And we went back, recreated the maps, did a takeoff, and made sure we could replicate their numbers that was used for the original map plan and report, and then applied new unit prices that we got from other recently bid projects in the area, and then shared that with our current consultants, EDR. So, to be honest with you, EDR's number was even higher than this. But I think, you know, this is a safe number, and I don't want to put it too low because we're applying for a grant.
Right.
So,
So with value engineering, and if we are able to, I know you had identified some areas that you thought may work for gravity feed versus pump. Is there like any real saving there, or is it fairly small percentage?
I think there's some savings that can be realized. You know, we found other places where we can run pipes down to one of the lines down by Sparkle Lake and eliminate a bunch of pumps. So, you know, there's that sort of analysis. There's, we would have to get a permit, a state permit, to go through the state wetlands that runs along the west side of that Sparkle Lake community.
Right.
And we actually have some easements in place already to get there. But that's really more of a detail thing. You know, I think, you know, obviously you know, we're sort of coming back at this at 10,000 feet, and really what it boils down to is, you know, having a number that's defendable, but also having the support of the people. You know, once we figure out what our best estimate and our best we can do in terms of procuring funding from other sources, you know, to present that. And, you know, and then, you know, once it gets to that point, then, you know, there were questionnaires done and all that, but, you know, a different number was represented to people. So the question is,
Right.
you know, would they still be on board at a higher price? But I think it's key to know that price, you know, a defendable price. And then if we want to move quickly, the other thing we can do is, instead of trying to get all the petitions, we could do, if we think we have enough public support, we can do it on the town board's motion.
So the only thought I had about public referendum is, would that just be for the districts that are involved in this?
Yeah, the only people that could vote would be people in the proposed district.
Okay.
It wouldn't be a
So
townwide election.
it wouldn't be the whole town?
That's right.
All right, because that could throw, someone might see it and say, oh, well, I don't want them to spend any money on sewers, not realizing that they wouldn't be paying anything from a different area.
Right.
So, okay.
All right, so we're gonna apply for the water infrastructure grant. We're gonna revise the map planning report. Town board's gotta do the secra negative, deck, a neg deck.
And then resolution.
And then we gotta
Do a
do a
resolution to
resolution.
establish the district.
Alex Mill District, yeah.
And then back to the state controller we go. Hopefully, we get approval this time that we'll get it right. And then prepare the final drawings and specs and get it out to bid.
So, up to the state controller approval, what is the water infrastructure grant, what is the time frame on getting
Yeah, I think we
Getting
would, I think
something
we would know,
back.
I think we would know in the fall.
okay. And then you're gonna, with the revise the map planning report, that's on us, the two other, the secret neg deck, the town board resolution, we submit the application, right, that's all on us, and then from the point that you submit the application to the state comptroller and the approval, hopeful approval, right, what does that time frame look like?
Well, I mean, last time around, I think they got back to us in like 3 months or something like that, so, you know, I think if we budgeted 6 months for, you know,
this.
getting preliminary, for getting it up to Albany, getting preliminary comments and addressing the comments. But, you know, if we do it on the town board's motion, then, you know, of course, the potential is that we're doing a referendum, and that could slow things down. And I think the threshold's only 5% of the people opposing it. So it is a low threshold that'll trigger that.
So 5% of the
Bless you.
315 people,
Right.
if they come in and they oppose it, it's DOA.
No, then we gotta just roll out the voting machines.
Oh, I see, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So 5% to put it on the roll, on for.
Right, to kick it to
And
the
then,
vote,
and then it's a majority.
yeah.
And then it goes out to bid, and, okay.
And how long is the process that they have to, say, well, let me ask this, if we did a resolution next week, would it be in time to be on this year's ballot?
Well, it would be a special election. It wouldn't,
Oh,
yeah. Right. That's how we've done in the past. We, you know, just did it just for
Right.
those people.
Dan, can I ask you a question? On this next steps, where does the referendum fall in? After you've gotten the bid, so you know exactly what the figures are?
No, you can't be out to bid. You're basically, based on the map plan and report and our best estimate of what it's gonna cost, and we know that people's tax increase.
So we're in this list of things.
Right, so once the town board adopts a resolution establishing the sewer district, I forget what the statute calls for, there's a time frame that within, if I had to guess, probably 30 days, if a certain number of people, I think it's 5%, force the referendum, then you have to go down that path.
And that's done through petition, correct?
I think by letter, I think they just have to send a letter to the town clerk saying they're opposed to it.
Okay.
We got a lot of process to go through here. The very first thing is to apply for the New York State Water Infrastructure, the WIA grant, get it, and then we can start moving on from that point forward. Because that will lower that bottom number of that $2,000.
It's all about the amount.
Yep, it's all about the money.
Have we heard from the state controller what they think is acceptable?
Well, I mean, they've always had a number that is the threshold where you don't have to go to them. I think at the time we were doing this, I want to say it was maybe like $800. But that's collectively all the pieces, not just this. It's the, you know, it would be the district we're
$2,000
creating,
number, yeah.
you know, paying the sewer usage charge on your water bill and paying the Halleck's Mill tax.
Right.
Like,
That's already 800 anyway. I mean, from your list, it was like, just
That's
about.
$2,000.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, so this to me looks like, you know, a good 2 years I mean, you know,
I don't
that's
think
what
it-
I'm looking at.
I don't think it has to be Sergio. I mean, I think if we get the grant in hand, right? If we secure that funding, we can update the map plan and report to reflect the real numbers based upon the $10 million, the 1.2, and then whatever we get under the new grant, and put that together in a map plan and report. And then really it's a question of whether the town board wants to do it by petition or on their own motion.
We could probably be about a year out. That would probably be more on the outside of a year, inside of a year.
Yeah, 6 to a year,
6 to a year.
depending on how quick. the
Right, but
applicant
what
is.
I'm saying though is the petition thing takes a while.
Right.
If you had a map plan and report and we had the money secured, you could kind of cut right to a hearing to establish the district, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, because I don't
Because
have,
you're doing it on your own motion.
yeah, like I say, we probably have to go out for either the town board, resolution establishing the district at that point, and just, yeah, otherwise we gotta go all back out for the 51% again.
That
and
took
go
a
through-
while.
And that took a while. And then we gotta see if, you know, how many people are actually willing to pay up to $2,000 a year. And that's, you know, tough on folks.
Right. So, I mean, I think the milestone is if we, you know, if we secure the funding, then update the map plan and report, and then it's the board's call how you want to handle it procedurally in terms of establishing the district.
Okay.
But we can chisel it down. You know, let's see, we got the WIA grant going in.
Yeah, and we'll look, you know, we'll continue to, you know, look at other communities and bids that they've gotten, and look at unit prices, and see how they compare, to see if some of our numbers, you know, I thought some of EDR's numbers were overly conservative, but,
Isn't one of the shore towns doing a big project right now? Maybe Larchmont? Big
A sewer
project?
project?
Yeah. You might want to look into it if you're looking for updated pricing,
yeah.
because I'm pretty sure it was Larchmont.
okay, yeah, and if anybody,
Using Easter Hudson funds, if I'm not mistaken.
no, that doesn't sound right, because they're not in the watershed.
well,
Yeah, is it on the
Okay,
watershed, but
that-
this is
then-
Village of Marymount.
I'll try to find it, because
All
I
right,
was
yeah,
reading
yeah,
something
no.
about it.
You know, I think the more defendable construction costs we have, the more we can, you know, perhaps lower the number if, you know, maybe things are starting to stabilize a little in construction costs, because there
Okay.
certainly was a
Let's see where we're at.
period there where it got crazy.
All right, so next.
I'd love to get these folks sewers this year.
Yeah.
I know.
Absolutely love it. But I know that's a little
Let's see
impossible.
if we get them the grant this year.
Get them the grant this year, and then maybe we could move forward from there. Because this has been out there since,
Maybe-
what, 10 years anyway?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but, you know,
Yeah.
going back 10 years, we were probably still just coming off the moratorium.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even, so
So it's-
doing
it's
this
been
kind of
out there a
stuff was
long
even.
time.
Came off.
All right.
That's it, Dan?
All right, that's it.
Thank
All right,
you.
Dan, thanks.
Stan?
Where do you want to go? Sounds like you're in a rush tonight. No. You want to call it for adjournment?
No, I want to finish up.
All right.
See, I didn't break anything.
Oh,
Thanks, Dan.
all right.
Dan, are you familiar with the septic sewer rehabilitation and sewer connection program through the county?
Yeah.
Did that help them at all, or no?
All righty, folks, we're going to go into resolutions.
It's not really a thing.
Something they can look at, they don't need us.
All right. Okay, we're going to urge President Joseph Biden to reconsider the FEMA funding for Westchester County, including the town of Yorktown. And whereas on July 9th, 2023, the town of Yorktown experienced devastating flash flooding that significantly damaged our town's infrastructure, whereas the town of Yorktown had damage throughout the town, which included a compromised culvert, a loss of a fire truck, flooding at sports fields, a municipal golf course, and estimated recovery costs that could surpass $2 million. Whereas residents, homeowners of Yorktown also suffered destructive flooding with several feet of water ruining basements, sewers, and septic systems. Whereas town homeowners recovered whereas homeowners recovered from their losses, they were faced with the prospect of higher property taxes if the town must bear the full cost of storm recovery. Be it resolved that the town supervisor and town board urge Honorable Joseph R. Biden, Jr., President of the United States, to approve a major disaster declaration for Westchester County so FEMA assistance can be made available to the town of Yorktown and its residents. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Can I say
Second?
something?
No.
Yes. I had 2.25 million just on my department.
I know.
Okay. I just wonder why it
So
was
what are
only
we
2
gonna do?
million.
We know.
Shouldn't we can't put that up?
What?
He's saying,
Raise that figure?
we can't add a couple zeros?
It's that's what we're sending to them now.
surpass
Throughout the whole county, we have to have $4.46 million worth of damage, which
But we
I'm
put-
100% sure that we probably got that right in Yorktown.
Yeah, well, we put in 2.25 just from highway.
Yeah.
It just struck me as like, if I had 2.25, why are we only telling me I had 2 million?
Yeah, like, I mean, you're gonna have to go back
don't
for
know,
more.
I mean,
We
it-
talked
I'm
about
All
it
right, so
earlier.
we'll have to, go,
Keep going back for more. Remember I told you to put that
it's
over
at
there?
least 2 million. It's gonna come up from that point.
It does say surpass,
Right.
so.
All right, motion?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, from the comptroller, authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfers from the water fund balance to water overtime. Authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer from the general fund balance to the police equipment. And we're gonna authorize the comptroller to release $24,288.86 of retainage owed to GLP and Sons, Inc. for work completed at Town Hall. To the Planning Board, authorize Barton and LaJudas, DPC, to perform an environmental review for Guiding Eyes for the Blind site plan application. We did the Police Department. Town Board authorized the seeker review pursuant to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act related to renovation and replacement in kind of existing infrastructure.
Can you add mine in there?
You know, you're a pain in the neck tonight.
I am. I'm on a tear.
Amend paragraph 11 of managerial employee list. Authorized a bond release to Mr. Almeida for work performed at 1875 Brookdale Street. Can I have a motion on them?
So moved.
All right, now, last but certainly not least,
Thank you.
we got highway. A bid for street signs, whereas invitation for a bid for street signs for the Yorktown, town of Yorktown was duly advertised. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motions carry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's it. Okay. We're going to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good night, Yorktown.
Good night, Yorktown.
Yorktown.